Hey everyone, welcome back. I just did a video about the informational side of these buildings that we bought from Old Hickory, and I thought I should also provide you with some information that I consider to be pros about the things that we like, and then in another video I'll give you the cons, things that we dislike or that they could have done better. And first of all, I'll go over the biggest pro of all. By the way, I have my list. Nathan makes fun of me for having my list, but I just don't want to forget anything when I talk about all of the great things about these buildings.
You just like to be
I
organized.
am. I'm very organized. First of all, the biggest pro about these buildings is the porches. And it shocks me to think that we almost didn't get the porch. These are called playhouses, the buildings that come with porches. And they are a game changer. I can't even express to you how much different life is up here on Timberline for us now that we have these little porches. Nathan, first thing he does when he gets to the property is he sets out our tables and chairs, and we can just sit and relax and enjoy the birds and the nature and the quiet and peace and quiet. We used to go up to Fire Mountain and sit around the fire, and a lot of times it was just too cold because there's quite a bit of a breeze up there. Sometimes it's too wet to even have a fire. So if we wanted to relax, that was where we went. It was a lot sunnier and there was a beautiful view. But now that we have these porches, we hardly even go up to Fire Mountain unless we want to cook something or sit around with friends and chat. When we have guests up, we all sit around the porches and face each other and relax. We've got the most beautiful view from the porches of this mountainside. And folks, it doesn't get any better than that. So if you're going to get one of these buildings and it's going to be in a mountain area or any sort of place that has a view, do yourself a favor and get a porch. You will not regret it. And that's the biggest pro. The other interesting thing about these porches is when we were doing the research, mostly Nathan did all the research, is when we have these buildings placed on the pad, he had them facing each other. And everyone was a little weird about that. They thought, why did you put the porches facing each other? Well, the reason is we have people come up here all the time and we just sit and shoot the breeze while we're drinking our coffee in the morning or having some tea in the evenings right before sunset. And we just hang out on the porches and chat. It is beautiful. We put some railroad ties down as little steps because if you haven't noticed, this is a couple feet up off the ground. And let me tell you, when you're stepping a foot or more up off the ground, it's a lot easier to just add one step in between before you're climbing up on those porches. So we found some old used railroad ties and they work perfectly. I also recommend that if you have any sort of runoff like we do in the wintertime, put some sandbags or some railroad ties or something on that side that has the runoff because you don't want dirt and debris piling up under your building because it'll rot the floor joists underneath the building and that will destroy the foundation of the building, so you don't want that to happen. And I think that is all about the porches. So do yourself a favor, get a porch. The next one, the next pro is that it's a building. It's not a tent, it's not a camper or an RV. And I'm speaking from experience as somebody who spent a lot of time in the mountains sleeping in a tent. One of the best things about having these buildings here is that it's a permanent structure, semi-permanent structure. It can move around, but I don't have to show up in the mountains, spend the afternoon pitching a tent and then throwing my sleeping bag in it and all my clothes. I can just walk in, unlock the doors, and there's some clothes and there's a bed for me to sleep on. I can leave them here. I don't have to worry about the wind blowing my tent over. I don't have to worry about an animal scratching through thin nylon. And even with a camper or an RV, it's not permanent. You have to winterize it. You would probably have to move it if you have a really heavy snow load in your area. You could have some damage done to it, and there's some maintenance in that respect. So It bottom line is it's a building, it's a structure that's meant to stay in one spot for a long period of time. It's safe because a door instead of a zipper close. It has windows that open and let breezes in, let light in, and it's just much better than having to crawl in and out of a tent, tracking dirt in. They kind of get a little wet and mildewy if you're in any sort of rain or snow. And it's not much warmer, but it's a little warmer. It keeps out critters, and even though an animal could break through a window if they really wanted in, it is much safer than having a tent or even a camper. So that's my second pro. My third pro is, I believe we showed you in the last video, but let me show you the third pro. We'll go into this other building. This is kind of one of our all-purpose buildings when we don't have people coming in, staying in here. We use it for storage and other things. The loft is the third pro. Each side of the cabin, over the porch, and then in the rear, has a 4-foot storage area for sort of extra equipment that you want to put up there. There's even a mini fridge up there right now, for heaven's sake. We keep an extra Dutch oven. We've got some croquet mallets for people who want to come up and play games. It's incredibly useful. You can even stick a child up there who wants to sleep in a sleeping bag, and it doesn't hold adult weight per se, but you could put so many supplies up there, especially when you have a lot of hunting gear you want to keep out of the way, cold weather gear, extra chairs, toys, and
it could easily hold adult weight because you could add another 2x4 right here and one right there and reinforce this, and then you could sleep up there if that's what you wanted to do.
With some reinforcement, you could definitely put extra adults up there.
Yeah.
So even though the building here, the 10 by 12 isn't a large area for a lot of people to sleep in, you could put several people in here and they would sleep comfortably. So these lofts are a game changer almost as much as the porches because you just have so much room for storage. While we're in here, I'll go over the next pro, and that is the customizable features on this building. When we ordered it, and I mentioned it in the first video, when we ordered, it comes with 2 windows and then a door that you can place on any side of the building. But we added 2 other windows, so we have a window on each side of the building. You can place them wherever you want, in the center, on the far edge. You can place 2 on each side, and it's completely customizable. So that was really convenient and helped us decide where we wanted to see out the windows when we placed these cabins. Another thing you'll notice is Nathan installed some blinds. So you can put in blinds or curtains or anything if you want to block out the light. One other thing is Nathan installed some hooks, some hanging hooks. We put our coats, we can hang the gun, you can add your hunting equipment. The other cabin, we have our bow and arrows when we want to shoot and target practice. Oh, in this cabin as well. So those hooks have also been a great little customization. Let's come out here and show you another customizable feature. I've mentioned this in other videos because it is such a cool idea and I didn't even think of it, but Nathan installed shutters on the barn and this side of the buildings because these are the windows that we use the most. So this was another add-on that was fairly easy and very creative. You have to take the screens off because we've also noticed that critters can get in here and scratch the heck out of your screens and destroy them. So if you're going to keep these closed, take your screen off. But we love having them open. He had a little eye hook right here on the outside to keep it open and an eye hook on the inside for the closure. Really convenient. So the customization possibilities are are so many. We've also considered putting some insulation underneath the building to add some warmth. I think I mentioned in my intro video that he added a wall and he put some insulation on the back wall of our sleeping building. So that adds a little bit of heat to it. Of course, you're going to lose your heat in the lofts, so that would have to have some insulation in the roof, but it's an option if you want a little bit more warmth. And I think as far as my pros go, oh, well, I guess one of the other pros is that you can move furniture in and out of this and make it multi-purpose. You can make it a little hunting shack. You could make it a game room. You could add 17 sleeping bags in there and stick all the kids in one cabin and have them sleep overnight and then do activities in the day. So it's just endless the options that you have when you have a dry cabin, because it keeps you safe from the elements, but it's also beautiful. You can open up the windows and look at the views sitting from the porch.
So much room for activities.
I know. Footers. I think that's it. Multi use, insulation, shutters. I think that's it.